Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Just wanted to say thank you and welcome to this out-of-home office hours. This is Scott Bichetti at Geopath, and I'm here with Brian Rue from Geopath as well.
Good morning.
Apologies for getting started a couple minutes late. You may have seen my screen, as you were probably watching, you may have seen different parts of my screen because just had a last-minute technical glitch, and it's all fixed or resolved in terms of the GoToMeeting or the GoToWebinar logging in. So again, apologies for that. Again, just want to say thank you, and this is the second one of our July updates on the Geopath Insight Suite. We did one yesterday, and do roughly the same kind of overview today. So just for those of you that this might be the first time you're joining one of these, we've been doing monthly updates starting at the end of May on the changes to the Geopath Insight Suite. And so what we typically do is, let me switch the slide here, kind of go over the kind of Insight Suite as a whole, just kind of some of the broad key features, talk about some of the updates, and then walk everybody through some of the changes and just broadly how to use the tool. There's in the May sessions as well as the June sessions, I've gone through some other tips and tricks that I might not go through today, but I'm going to show you where you can go back to those old webinars if you'd like to. But there's a lot of new updates. In fact, some that just came out this morning that I will show you today, and we'd love getting any feedback from everyone. I'll show you how you can find support if you need it in the tool, and also how you can provide feedback for the tool as well today. Just want to say again, thank you. Oh, also before I get too far into it, if you ever have questions throughout the session, always feel free to reach out to us in the questions widget portion of the GoToWebinar widget that you're seeing on your screen. We'll do our best to answer questions in the moment. I'll pause throughout and just try to address them in real time as we go along. But one of the things, if you've joined these sessions before, I always kind of start with this slide in particular, because I do want to let everybody know kind of where we are in the process and how this tool, the Geopath Insight Suite, is being built. So you can see here I say built for the industry and by the industry. And what I really mean by that is that right along we've been trying to get feedback from you, from our members, on how to create this. So early on we had our Geopath finders, and they would serve as that early beta testers, really helping us understand the core feature functionality set. And as the really early stages of the beta tool came out, using them as a kind of quasi mini focus group to help us kind of improve it. But now that it's out for the entire membership, everybody's our Geopath finder, and we really want feedback. As I mentioned a moment ago, we do want feedback, and we want everybody to be exploring the tool. And if you're finding things that aren't working for you, let us know. We're able to, because of the way we're developing it, we're in an agile development phase right now. And what that really means is that every couple of weeks, there's a new version of the tool that comes out. So we're continually iterating on it and continually improving it. In fact, this week there were 2 different updates that came out. So one came out yesterday, and there was a slight update to that came out actually kind of this morning. And like I said, so for you, if you were on the call yesterday, there'll be a couple of new things you might see today, basically around the demos. And then one thing I always want to make sure I do say is that the impression data that you're seeing in this tool, so the tool is still a beta version of the tool. It is not for commercial use at this point until the tool is fully capable, fully functional, and our board approves it to be the currency of the industry. So we encourage you to go in and explore. And like I said, if you do have questions, you can always reach out to us, and I'll show you where to do that. And we definitely appreciate the feedback. So again, if you've joined some of these calls, these next 2 or 3 slides may seem familiar, but for those of you who are new and may not have logged into the tool yet, just a couple things I want to tee up that you're going to be seeing, and just how we've gone about developing the tool. So very visual, very really driven by this, what you're seeing on the screen on the left, interactive maps, or so you can zoom really into a city and look at a specific street or intersection, and the ability to really filter by whatever you need it to be, whether it's by media type, whether you want to look at operator first. So it's almost like a choose your own adventure. I always like to say that's kind of how I talk about it usually, because you know, that's what we wanted it to be. We wanted it to be a tool that you can use how you need it to, to solve the issues that you're doing to answer your client's needs. And one of the key things that we heard loud and clear early on and throughout is audience first, right? So you have the ability to start with audience, because everybody wants to really understand and tell stories about their audience these days. And so the tool allows you to do that here, and I'll show you specifically how you can do that. And then the audience inventory audience data. So every location that we have is that we audit is in the tool right now. And as we are in the development stage, as we continually add new members or new inventory, that is becoming, you know, with the different updates, new inventory gets brought in. This will be, once the tool is live and fully functional, that'll be a much more streamlined and quick process. So every once in a while, I might get an email from a member saying, hey, I have new inventory, it's an ADS, it's not in the tool yet. That's going to be quickly not an issue any longer, because again, once the tool is fully functional, that will be the database of record for the tool. So currently, ADS is the tool where the impression data is, that's the currency of the industry. I want to say sometimes I get questions on that as well. Which one do I use? This is still beta. This is what we're refining and calibrating for now. That said, I want to talk about the new features in this release. So if you were on the last session, actually the one in June, you may notice that the structure of how we're presenting the different audiences, the population demographics has changed, and that was to allow us to add more and more populations, demographic profiles, as well as consumer profiles. And so in this iteration, we've added 2 new ones, and actually as of today, several more in the demographic profiles, I believe. So total person 0+, which is actually the base, the default, that when you log into the tool, that is the default of what we measure against. There's a variety of different also demographics that have been added to the tool. This was new in the previous release, but again, as of last night, there are many more different iterations of this that we'll go through today. Also, another thing that was added in the July 10th release was the reach and frequency. So panel level reach and frequency is added. There may be some places where you may see that still says not applicable or TBD. That is because you know, there's something about that it's under review, and we're fixing those and going through and looking for all those cases and just correcting that, so to speak. So want to let you know that the reach and frequency is in there for most of the inventory, but you may find unique cases where it's still showing up as NA. The other thing and obviously now that reach and frequency is in there, it's populated throughout. So if you're here on the left side, you can now filter hopefully by reach and frequency in the inventory summary list. When you export the data in the CSV, that data will be showing up, as well as in the tabular view. The reach column is there, and it's something you'd be able to sort upon as well and filter by. The other thing, again, this was new in the June release, this ability to create and save an inventory set. So now there's the additional ability to just add and take away from an existing inventory set. So let's say you've created it. I've set up 100 pieces of inventory in this set, and you know what, I want to take away or add to that. You can just go in and do that without having to resave it as a new name. You can save it to that current inventory set that you've set up. And that's a new feature. And then we've also made the help a lot easier to find. Previously, it was within the feedback button in the bottom right, but now we've pulled it off to the side, and it's much easier to find and to actually access and use. And you can always get to it by typing in support.geopath.io, but we also wanted to make it more accessible. And there's live chat there if you ever have questions immediately. But we also still, as I mentioned probably I think twice already, we still do want your feedback. So that feedback button is there, and I'll show you where that is and how to use that as well. But one of the key things that was changed in the iteration that came out earlier this week is that now that the basic core foundation for us to create that workspace environment is now up and running. So the workspace module is now active. You have the ability to create projects and manage the scenarios that fall underneath. So any packages that might be appropriate for that client or that you're trying to explore can be built and nested underneath the different projects. And you can see an overall summary of all the projects that you've created with a description. And I'm just flipping through. And so as you look at that view, you have various columns, so you can see the different scenarios you've created underneath it, when you've done it, if you've edited it. We also have the ability to tag. So if you're in this tool a lot and you're creating a lot of different projects, you can filter by, I want to see all the ones I've done for fast food, or I want to see all the ones I've done for Starbucks, or whatever that is. It's a really nice, easy way to filter quickly if you ultimately, when you're, hopefully it's a tool that you're using quite a bit and you have a lot of projects created in it, so it's a nice management tool. And you also have the ability to search, and it auto searches for you as well. This is just a screenshot showing you how to create a project, which we'll do together in a moment. But pretty straightforward. You can name it and create, like I said, the tags and add the scenarios and do some other nice things in there. You can overall create notes for yourself and also share different projects ultimately with different emails, different people that you're working with, etc. So you can share this out. And then this is showing you that scenario. So in this screenshot, I've clicked through to the project, and now I'm looking at all the scenarios that I've created and see them listed there. So you can see the number of units in each. You can see the audience, the market, the start and end date of the campaign, so to speak. And then again, if one of these is a scenario that worked really well and you want to copy and paste it and then move it into another project, you can do that. You can see on the bottom right. Again, I'll show you all of this in real time, but I just wanted to just talk you through what's coming and what you'll see, so it's kind of on your radar as we're talking about it. So again, a couple different things when you're creating scenarios. Just this is clicking right into the scenario itself, and you can see that it's set up the audience and the marketplace, as well as the planned start dates, etc. And then this bottom part here is the actual list of inventory that is in that scenario that we've created. And ultimately, you can map that inventory as well. And then, if you recall, you had the ability previously to search saved inventory sets, but now as you create these packages, you'll be able to save those scenarios and use those as well and map those as well in the Explore tool. So as you're creating these, you can work out with them in the Explore area and then create them in your project or add them to your project in the workspace. So I just want to, I'll jump in, and walk you through all of that. But I just want to pause, Brian. Any questions? Anything coming up?
Not yet.
Okay.
But, people are more than welcome to type them in.
Cool. Great. So I want to jump over and show you what everything looks like. So if you haven't logged in yet, if this is the first time you're seeing the tool, this is the beta version. This is what you will initially see when you do log into the tool. I just want to make sure. Sorry. Seems like it's okay, cool. All right, so this is what we're seeing here. So just a quick walkthrough. So across this top, as I said, you have the ability to, I'm in the Explore section. So this is the area where you would go and start to, almost like our Inventory Explorer at a high level, to go in and look at the inventory in a market, or you can look by a particular audience, or you can look by specific media types or operators. So right now we're looking at the total population 0+ right here. So that is the, as I said, that's the default population that where we are in the tool. So that generates 52 billion impressions across all of our audited media right now. But then, as I wanted to show you, so this is how you would start to filter different populations. So as I said, 0+ is the default, but we have 5+, 18+, 21+, and also there's a host of new demographic profiles that have just been added. So different household income measures, different races, different levels of age, ethnicity breakdowns, just in general, some age breakdowns, 18 to 34, 18 to 49, breaks down by males, females, and also different aspects of commute to work, work from home, drive to work. So there's a variety of different aspects here. So this is increasing and will continue to increase. So if you haven't been on any of the other calls, one of the key aspects of the tool is that we're partnering with Claritas, and they're helping us with our pulling in the demographic data and consumer profiles, et cetera. So the number of profiles and data here is going to increase to about, ultimately when we're done, somewhere close to 10,000 different data points that we're going to be able to filter by. And so we're really excited about that. And so we're slowly rolling those into the tool. We don't want that to overwhelm everybody. And so we are increasing this with almost every rollout, with almost every kind of iteration of the tool that we roll out. And this one, honestly, right here hasn't changed that much. These behavioral profiles, these will start to, you'll see, we'll start to be adding more and more of these throughout the coming weeks. And then, as always, like you can search if there's a particular profile you're looking for. And with all of these, so here, this is the market, so you can set that. We've nested the different media types a little bit nicer here over the last couple iterations of the tool. And we're also showing by the subtopics the number of inventory as well, which is a new aspect. And then different operators. You can also map a specific view, so you can filter by just what you're seeing in the map, or you can draw a specific area if you like. And then you can also search by different geographies, zip codes, CBSAs, as well as counties as well. And I'll show you that as well. And here's where, if you're looking at a specific inventory set, you have the set of Geopath panel IDs, you can just copy and paste them in here. No need to type them in. Also, the way the tool is built, it's smart enough to ingest them in any way. You can copy an Excel column, you can copy from an email, you can copy from a text file, and it will do that. Same with the plant ID. So if you have specific IDs from the media company, you can drop them in here. And this is where I was talking about your saved inventory set. So these are packages that I put together, as well as different scenarios that you can start to save and tie to when we look at the project level. And then here on the right side is panel level information. So let me do quickly. Let's say you want to, let me pick Adams because they're the top here. Say, you know what, I want to know where their inventory is across the market, what markets they're in, and see that. And apologies, I know it's lagging a little bit here, but so here we go. So it's showing you where across the country they have inventory. And so if you're wanted to explore and understand like where a particular provider has inventory, this is a nice, quick, and easy way to visually see that, and then you could start exploring, digging in deeper. Let me clear that. And similarly, you can do that for any particular market. So let's see, Orlando today. So I'm looking at Orlando, and I'm seeing that there are, I believe, somewhere around 7,000. I think just over 7,000 pieces of inventory that we audit in the Orlando DMA. And so as you start to pick let's see, let's say today, let's do, let's pick a target. Let's say in, eating at a fast food restaurant is fun, let's say. So let me apply that. So I'm changed the right here on the right side. You see I've changed the profile I'm looking at. So eating at a fast food restaurant is fun. And you can see how the top has changed. So 348 million target impressions. So that's of the 1.1 billion impressions in the Orlando market, which is about a 31% target composition. So you can keep that 31% in mind, and if you're looking at other markets, you can start to see how does this compare? Is it over-indexing or under-indexing to that particular market area on that particular target? So let's start to zoom in. I picked an audience, I picked a market, and let's start to zoom in here. And you'll notice as I get in closer, the view starts to change, right? So what we're seeing, these little kind of skittles, so to speak, here. And if you're questioning, like, well, what do these mean, right? There's a key here you can go to, and it shows you the orange is bulletins, the yellow is posters, the turquoise is street furniture. And yes, transit and everything else will be ultimately in this tool. We are currently building that functionality into it. So right now, what am I doing? I'm looking at Orlando, right? I'm filtering for by target composition percent. Let's say I just want to look at in-market target impressions. I want to filter by that. So I want to start to see that. So I'm looking at it, and you can see how on the right side my views change and what's being listed changes. And then let's say I just care about the top 50, but you know what, I want a mix of media types. So let's say, I just want some posters. Oh, and let's see, what else do we want to do? Let's do, I think I did this yesterday too. Let's do transit shelters. So apply. I'm narrowing my filter a little bit. So I want to look at the top 50. And you can see all of the inventory is still there. Some of it's grayed out. So I'm just, what's highlighted now, I'm just looking at those top 50 that rank on the in-market target impression. So I'm looking at the highest view. And as I scroll over here on the right side, you can see how I'm able to see where these are in the marketplace as well. And I could have filtered if I wanted to by operators. So you can see who has inventory in the market as well. And if you're looking for a specific provider, you can start to see that. So you can see where'd it go? Oops, sorry, I'm going too fast. Direct media and Clear Channel seem to have the most inventory in this space. All right. And so let's see what this piece of inventory is about. So as you start to, you can either do it two ways. I can just look at the map view. So I can click here and then it'll show up. I want to look at the map view. And so I'm looking at that specific piece, or you can click on the circle itself. So when you get to this view, obviously, like all the basics of information, what type it is, the overall weekly impressions, Geopath ID, plant unit ID, etc. And if you click over here, you can see the back of the card. So like I compare it often to like a baseball card. So your kind of key stats on this piece of inventory. So again, inventory at a glance. And then this area here, opportunity overview. I really like this. This is, I think, really interesting because it gives you a sense of what other audiences is that piece of inventory really an opportunity for. So if you're prospecting new clients, or if you're on the buying side and trying to find inventory that may over-index for a certain type of target, this is another way to kind of help guide you here. So this one way over-indexes for people speaking Vietnamese and Chinese at home, as well as Korean. It's also kind of those who take the rail to work. This here is also, I feel like, a nice helpful feature. So shows you the zip codes that piece of inventory is drawing audience from. So this zip code is 32828, and it's 23% of that inventory's audience. And I'll do a little kind of fun exercise in a moment. And then it's also showing you what other market areas. This is the DMA level. So this seems like really centered in the Orlando, Daytona DMA. So as you probably expect, most of the audience that it's drawing is from that DMA. But when you start to get into areas like Las Vegas or Times Square, you'll see that this is changing. And then here's all your weekly audience summary metrics. So market population from the total. Again, this will change and should say total 0+. Again, we are constantly iterating on the tool. So here's the target, as well as the composition and composition index. This, of course, this piece of inventory that I chose is one of those that's under review for reach and frequency, so apologies for that. But if you're ever wondering, like, what information, what do I mean by TRPs? There's a couple of ways where you can find this information. So you can always I click the I button right at top, and here's all the definitions and all the information and how we're calculating this as well. There's also, you can go to help, and there's a lot of information here. We're creating a whole library of videos and tutorials here. If you happen to be at the conference or were able to come to any of my training sessions, you'll see that I've started using some of these already. But what these are foundational videos that talk you through on, what's a GRP, how do you calculate it, and then gives you some more information on that right here. So there's a lot of good information you could find here as well. But let me jump back to the card itself. So I'm here looking at all this information. You can download this as a PDF if you like, but if you want to get back to the basic information, it's right here as well. So I want to do a couple of things right now. So I have this list of top 50, and let me see. Let me make it top 100. I want to make the top 100. That's 50 wasn't enough. I need to look at everything. So there's also another view you can have. We're looking at the inventory, kind of the visual view, but you can also look at it in a tabular view here. And this is helpful if you're starting to create your package, so package of inventory. So right now I'm looking at the top 100 that of posters as well as TSAs, and I want to create a package of inventory here. So let's do this. First of all, you know what? Let me show you one thing first before I go here, before I start to narrow down. Let's say I like this, what I have. I like this top 100. I like having the top 100 selected here for in-market impressions. And let's save that. So I want to save this as a new inventory set. So this is fast food. This is, and well, let me think. It's Orlando. Everybody can see how bad I type. QSR, let's say, and then this is my posters TSA. And then it's the top 100 at this point. I want to save that as an inventory set. Good, success, I did it. So let's see here. It should be right here. Search saved inventory sets. So Orlando, I could search it, but I can see it's right here. Orlando QSR posters TSA. Right, and eventually I can add that to my project, which I'll do next. But let's say, you know what, I have 100, but you know what, I need to narrow it down. I need to narrow down to the top pieces of inventory that I want to include in my plan here. So let me clear this out. And we could start to look, let's filter by, I want to look at all the inventory that has the top impression. So these all have fairly big impressions, so let me pick those. And again, I'm just looking at total impressions. I'm not looking at target impressions at this point, because a lot of times I realize you probably want to mix, right? You need some in a package that have big impressions just overall, some that are more targeted, and some that have reach and frequency, which would be showing up in this far right column. So I picked up, sorry, I'm picking a handful of them. 1, 2, 3. Let me pick these top 5. These are good ones. And then let's see, but I also want some that way over index for delivering that audience. I'm not as concerned about the impressions. I just am concerned about the impressions to my target. So I think I've picked a handful. And one thing you haven't probably been able to see is that as I've been picking them, they're showing up highlighted here. So I have my set of inventory, and they're showing here. So I picked 11 pieces of inventory here. They're generating 8.4 million weekly impressions, and they're about 34% target composition, which I think is slightly above the average for that market. So my grouping is really highly targeted, and it's over-indexing in terms of the target itself. So let's save that. This is a good set that I do want to save. So this is my, Orlando QSR targeted. So top, I think I picked 11. And what else do you want to say? It's a mix of posters and TSA. I'm going to save this one as well. Cool. Great. So now I have a couple of packages, but I want to show you one more feature before we move on to creating a project in Workspace. Let's see. So there was, if you recall, there was a piece of inventory that let's go back. Let's clear here. Okay. I want to show you another interesting thing that you can often do with this tool. So I'm going to just pick this piece of inventory right here. I'm looking at the map view. See here. I don't think this is one I originally looked at, but so this is again 32828. So let's just focus on this piece of inventory for a while. And let me show you. So I'm just going to copy this Geopath ID and throw it right in here. Geopath panel ID, boom, and apply. So as you can see, I even literally just copied it off the website and put it there, and it's able to ingest that. So I want to look at this, and if you recall, it said that the inventory, that 23% of its audience is coming from a specific zip code, 32828. And a lot of times when I'm doing this exercise, you can see how, and hopefully it'll work for this one, you can see right here is a great example. The largest portion of this piece of inventory's audience is coming from a zip code that this inventory is not even in. And that's a key story that I think we want to tell often with out-of-home that we're now able to tell with the tool. Obviously, it's really helpful when we get to the stage where you have a whole package of inventory and you're starting to see where the audience is being drawn from for the package. But even at this level, it's really illustrative of how powerful out-of-home is and how we're bringing audiences. And it doesn't matter where, we're drawing audiences from beyond just where that piece of inventory is located. So I think this is always a nice, quick example. So let me go back to, let me clear that, and let's load it back in our set of inventory that, clear this again. And so we had set up our search inventory sets, and let me show you how if you want to call up one. So I went in my Orlando, and let's see, okay, there's a couple of different Orlandos, but I want this, I want the broader one, the posters TSA one. So that has 100 pieces of inventory in it. Let's say I don't want, you know what, this one here, I don't really want, so I want to unselect it. So I'm going to click there, and let's see, I'm going to try to add to existing inventory set. So which is the one that we wanted? It's the Orlando QSR poster TSA. So I want to click it there and save it. And there should be 99 pieces of inventory in there as well when I open it up. So I'm going to open it up again, and apply, and you could see here to the right, maybe I think I picked the wrong one, but there CSUs once I pick it. So, so that's basically how you can use the Explore module. I want to talk with the rest of the time about the project workspace. Brian, any questions?
One question come up. Can those top zip codes be automatically overlaid onto the map from the inventory detail sheet?
Not like, more so how I did it. I do think that is a nice suggestion, like how can we do that? And also too, kind of multiple zip codes, I think, is a functionality that we're working towards as well to have, so you can see a collection of different zip codes and where the inventory is coming from. So, so not quite yet, but eventually. So right now, that's the kind of workaround, is doing it somewhat manually. So as I said, so now the project workspace is open for business, so to speak. And as I said before, if I didn't say this, if I did say it, I'm going to say it again, rather. So this is the foundation that allows us to now be able to get to the ability to have market level averages, so all the functionality in O-Plan, as well as that detail in ADS. So we're starting, this allows us to start to pull in some of that functionality. So at this level, you'll see we're starting to set up projects, starting to set up scenarios, and you know, very soon down the road, you'll be able to add the different metrics that I know everybody's excited to get to. So let me click here again. So these are some of the projects that I've created. As I said, you can see my list. I made a little description. So we're starting to pitch Starbucks, so campaign across markets for, I think I call it the blonde roast. Taco Bell, the nacho fries, so that's a new product. So there's kind of more of an awareness play and kind of a helping with the rollout. And so different things. And I've created some scenarios underneath. And like I said, here's some of my tags. And if, you know, on this right side, you always see these three buttons. And so this one is if the project, you know, didn't go and we don't want it anymore, you can easily delete it. But let's say, you know, let's say I have like 100 different projects here, and I just want to look at my QSR ones. I'm going to go back to my QSR projects. So you can see it, I filtered. Okay, great. So we're starting to pitch for Wendy's. We don't have any scenarios in there, but let's say I want to edit prospect is Wendy's. And you can change the title here if you want. You can add here, you can see I've added some, you know, some text under pitching for new business, proposal due 7/31, so we know we got to work on it. And I've added some tags here, QSR, fast food, client, prospect, let's say fries too, so maybe they want to highlight, so maybe they're coming out with a new type of fry as well. And then you start to add scenarios. Oh, sorry. No, I don't want to just page. I wanted to save it first. Apologies. So I saved it. I can show you here how it's updated, pitching for new business, proposal due. There, I've added some new tabs there. So let's now add a scenario. So the audience that they're looking at is, I believe it's eating at fast food restaurants is fun. We were in the Orlando market, let's stay there. And let's say, so the proposal is due in the end of July, but they want to start, they want to launch it and run it for a month in September. Great. So we've already created some inventory sets. So you can just hit this download, this drop-down menu here, and Orlando QSR posters, and that'll load that right in here for you. And here is all the inventory that is in that set that we've identified, and we can save it, save scenario. And as I go back, oh, we want to title that scenario, my apologies. So this is the Orlando QSR version 1, you know, with the posters and TSA. So scenario description, that's the top 100. And you could tag those if you want as well. So QSR, because you may have a variety of different scenarios in your under any client or under any project. So there may be a couple different aspects of a campaign or anything like that that they may be working on. So I'm going to save this scenario. And now when I go back to my workspace, Project Wendy's, you can see that there is one new scenario in there. And we can also add another one if you want to. We could add, let's add the other one that's the more targeted QSR. So I choose my audience. So again, this one is still staying with, just in our scenario that we've made up, is fast food. Sorry, fast. My typing is not going too well today. Fast. Apologies. After that, I guess I'll just search for it now. Sure. None. Let me keep it there. So let's say we want to target females on this one. How about that? And this part of the campaign might run later from October to the 31st here. So let's pick QSR targeted.
Will be started in July, ended in October.
Boom, 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 boom. Sorry, there we go. I want to call this one Wendy's. Scenario 2, targeted. And again, you could add the description as well as tags, etc. So I want to grab that one and save the scenario as well here. Let's pick this one. So it'd be the same process. There's a scenario, so I'm saving it. Let me go back to the workspace, and so now there's 2 there. And another thing you can do, let me go back to Explore. So you'll see that I have my scenarios, search save scenarios in Explore as well. So I can start to search these. Let's see. So this one happened to be that I made up was Dunkin' Donuts breakfast sandwiches. So let's apply that one. Let's see, is that one might be helpful. It's from a different project that I've created. I want to see what's going on with that one. So that's going to be Northeast, and you can start to look in that. So you can map your scenarios as you're creating them as well. And you can launch them from here or in the workspace tool as well. And just so you know, reports is coming soon. That's the next iteration. We realize you need to look at the data that you're creating in the packages. So that's where a lot of that functionality, like I said, through ADS and O-Plan, between the combination of reports and workspaces, where a lot of that functionality will reside in. I think that's, you know, at a high level, I wanted to take everybody through how to use some of the new features and functionality. I do want to pause and see if there's any questions that anybody might have as we're doing that. So no questions. As you're thinking or typing any in, I wanted to let you know, so we do these sessions every month. We're going to continue to do them throughout the development, so let your teams know, join them. Typically, we're going to do 2 each month. So Thursday and Friday of the last Thursday and Friday of each month is the typical cadence. We're going to do them so you can start to know and expect when we're going to do them. So Thursdays are typically from 2 to 3, and then the Friday ones are always going to be 11 a.m. to noon. And as I mentioned at the front of the call, we've done these in May and June, and these are July sessions. This is where you can find them. I took a screenshot of our website. So you go to the Geek Out tab on our website, and then you can scroll down to Out of Home Office Hours, and you'll see these are the most recent ones. You can always find all of them are available on our YouTube channel. And I do want to make a special call out. If you didn't get a chance to join on Tuesday earlier this week, we did a special out-of-home office hours with 4 planners from 4 of our member buying agencies, from Horizon, McDonald Media, Out-of-Home Pitch, as well as Rapport. And the panel talked about the planning and buying process overall, showed some case studies, and just really talked about the importance of data and how data informs that entire process. It was really informative. A lot of people joined, and it's available for you if you have time for you and your teams to watch. That said, if there's no more questions, I just want to say thank you. Again, you can always reach out to us at geekout@geopath.org if you do have any questions or need anything. So just thank you for joining, everybody. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and happy Friday.